Alright, I'm back, chat. Alright, let's just skip straight on to the next one, which will be a Torb review, I believe. So, let me change this real quick. Now watching. There we go. And I will read the review note really quick, which says that just picked up Torb, Echo took too much skill, and so I can just spam choke with Torb. Hoping to find out about my mistakes early on. Right, so we just get straight into it. This is fine. Real profile, replace, let's go. Alright, so also this is called at 2300. So we're going to be watching. Account name is Oathkeeper. So we're actually the other way around. We're going to be watching Oathkeeper. So since we are just starting with Torb, let's go over a really quick note of what Torb is really good at. Torb is really good at the 9 flanks, right? That's his main strength. Because if they have like a tracer, you can put your... Hold on, let me get a little closer to the actual point. So if they have a tracer, you can put your turret in a position, like maybe you want it here, like let's just assume, where you can deny the tracer from coming to point, and you have a really good job denying this flank. Like now tracer can't come to this way. Or maybe your team is holding where they're holding right now, and you want to make sure that no one comes from behind. So you put your turret here, where if someone comes from behind, you can still do damage to them. The turret itself, and I know this is something that a lot of people struggle with at lower ranks, the turret itself only does 66. It only does 56 damage per second. It does very low amount of damage, so if an enemy tank gets the attention of the turret, we don't want that. We want the turret to be shooting squishies most of the time. So we don't want to put it where it's going to be shooting at main, but we want to make sure that it gets people who are either flanking or who may be left behind by the team. So if you put your turret, hold on, let me go a little higher. If you put your turret here, for example, right, where it can watch the point, make sure no one takes his flank, and it can also get this and try to catch someone mid-rotation, that's pretty good. If you put your turret here, it's not really watching a flank, because it's just in the middle of the open. The enemy team can still flank around, and you don't really get flanked from this angle, really. And it's just shooting at the enemy tanks, which is not what we want. Because again, the turret only does 56 damage per second. So it's like very low damage against any tank. You really want to make sure that the turret is shooting at squishy so we can kill them. Or at least secure the kill if they are already damaged. So let's look at you. So this turret, I'm okay with it. I would ideally put it a little bit further forward. Because your turret here can do damage here, right? If the enemy tries to rush at you. But it's only ever going to do damage to the tanks. And it is watching the flank, which is important. But if the enemy rotates through here, your turret does nothing. The other hand, if you put it just a little bit further forward, like over here, it has some cover, so it's harder to shoot at the turret already. It can shoot here, so it can catch the enemy well. It can shoot here and here, so it can catch the enemy mid-rotation if they try to rotate around you, right? It can still shoot here, which is, again, not what we want, but it still has that option if the enemy team is just trying to hard commit this way. And it can still watch the flank. So the too long don't read becomes, try to put your turret where it will not only watch the quote-unquote main angle, but also a little bit of other rotation options for the enemy team, just in case that they don't rotate perfectly. Like, if the Ryan goes too far forward and a squishy gets left behind, like a soldier or a Baptiste, then your turret will do direct damage to those people. Because 56 damage per second is like 10% of a Ryan's health, even less because of armor, so your damage is further reduced to, I believe, like 44? 5? So yeah, about 40 something damage against a target with armor. Or, you know, just a Ryan shield, which 1600, you do 56 a second, it's going to take you like a whole 20 seconds to just do 1000 damage to the shield. But yeah, we don't want to be shooting at well. we don't want to be shooting at tanks because it is a very low percentage of their health pool. Like if our Roadhog is at 56 HP or a Zarya is at 56 HP, they will probably die anyway unless they're like playing very safe or have their cooldowns. But on the other hand, if a Baptiste is at 56 HP, then that's like only a quarter of his health. We only need to do like 150 damage to get the Baptiste to a killing range and the turret auto-aims. Whereas if you do 150 damage to Zarya, she can bubble it, or she can just take it and be at 250, and to Roadhog, he can eat it and babe, or he can just be at like 450, and they're out of threat forever. So the general idea is, we don't want this to shoot at tanks. We want this to shoot at DPS or squishies. Maybe allow Zarya without a bubble, like Zarya's only got 400 HP, so if she doesn't have a personal bubble and she's like under half HP, she becomes a decent target, but even then it's not something you want to do consistently. Also, Torb is really good at spamming, like, don't play so far back, like, take an angle with your team, like, play with your Rhine a little closer. And always be spamming left click, left click, left click. Torb, believe it or not, his actual damage is pretty good. Like, let me just get the exact numbers. I believe Torb does, yeah, 70 damage per shot. Which may not seem like a lot, but he can do 3 shots in 2 seconds. So he can do 210 damage in 2 seconds, which is, oh, it's pretty right, and it can headshot. Bringing his 70 damage per shot to 140, and bringing the 210 threshold, 200, let's write it here, to 420. Haha, lol, nice, place it. Obligatory, you know, meme. But always be shooting. You have a very big clip, like your clip is 18 shots, which lets you shoot for, again, at 3 shots every 2 seconds, you can shoot for 6 seconds unimpeded. Well, actually for 12 seconds, like 6 rotations for 2 seconds. And your reload is, I think, only like 1 second as well. So, with Torb, there is no reason not to be spamming your left click. Even if you're only seeing the enemy and you're not actually hitting them, like, yeah, it only takes like 1.5 at most seconds. So you can just be spamming your left click, spam your left click, spam your left click, play a little closer to cover, but this is fine. And again, it is not your job to watch the flank. It is your turret's job to watch the flank, right? This turret is watching the flank for you. If someone tries to come from behind, the turret's got you. It will start shooting and you will notice. So you can be a bit further forward. Because it is not your job to watch the flank, it is your turret's. And again, putting the turret in the open, make it broken. If you put it a little bit closer to cover, that may help a lot as well. Here your turret is gonna break. Yeah. And I'm not saying you could have kept it alive forever. I'm saying that if you had put it in cover, it could have survived for a few seconds longer, which, you know, may get you value. Also, don't use this like that. This is a very important health and damage boost for when people get close to you. Like right now, what's the point of it? Like we made no actual use of the armor it gave us. We made no use of the increased fire rate, so there was no point to it. I thought it's a short game. It may actually fit within the 30 minutes we have. What are you doing here? Never mind, I know what you're doing here. You're trying to get damage on the people that are left. But you are not a frontline hero. Like, even when you can use the thing to get good health and increase your speed and all of that, that's more of a retreat tool than an engagement tool. Because mostly you want to use it when the enemy has committed. Either to killing you or to killing someone who's close to you, so you can do more damage and have more survivability. Which in turn will just help you kill them as well. And you do kill the jungler. But like, why are super forward? Look how overextended you are. And I know you may say it's only a Mercy right now. No, there's a Roadhog over there. You could be going to kill the Roadhog who made all of this rotation because Roadhog cannot get around on his own. So you could be helping your team deal with this Roadhog. You are pretty good against Roadhog because he's very big. So if you get close, you can right click and do well, all of your damage on him. And, well, you broke the turret. I was gonna say this is not a great turret because, again, it has the same problem where it can maybe shoot at this while the enemy rotates here, and from where it was, it cannot even shoot here. So it's not watching the flank, and it's not really getting an angle on the rotation. And the same goes to this turret. It's in the open, so no. It's watching main and it's watching a flank, which are things you want, but you also, if you put it here, again, it has cover as well, so it can shoot and have cover. And it can also watch these angles, which are better than main even. Like, if you wanted to put your turret even further back, so it doesn't watch main, but it gets the angles, I will be okay with that. I don't think it's ideal because, especially at your rank, people will still like screw up a few times and it may get value on main. But if you put it like here and it watches this, well, if you put it like over here, further back, it has full cover from this angle, right? And it watches this, and this area, then that's good value for your turret. You're basically denying the enemy 3 areas they can be in for free. And it's not like they cannot take these areas, but they will have to use resources, especially the squishies, to go on those areas. And you can see how your turret is. If you are putting it here, it would still have gotten that kill. Like the Zarya had no bubble, low health. And honestly, your team is kind of rolling, so it's a little bit more difficult to fully explain why you're not getting as much value as you could be getting. This is good though. Like, again, if you need to help your team, if someone close to you or you are in danger, you can pop this to well, go aggressive or go defensive and deny the enemy value. And this is fine. Like, you just go at the Roadhog and right click him. At this range, left click is fine. Right click kill him, good job. So that was actually a good use of the overload. I think it's called overload. But you can see my point about, well, yeah, if an enemy is overextending or committing really hard on you, on someone who's close to you, you can punish that by using your cooldown. You don't have to use it to have a little bit more damage at range, because you already have decent damage at range. It's Torb is not a great spam hero. He's not going to be like Junkrat. He's not going to be a Hanzo. He's not going to be like Pharah, right? But he can do 70 damage, well, 210 damage every 2 seconds, which is 105 damage per second. Whereas Hanzo, a single arrow, does 120. Junkrat and mine does 130. And Pharah also does 120 on a direct. Again, you see how overload is really good for this situation, where if the enemy comes close to you and tries to get... First, forget that your Rhine is getting absolutely smashed by their Rhine. That's fine. The overload here into right clicks is definitely the right call. The Rhine is very close. Your Rhine is dead, which, you know, it's fine. You just keep holding right click to do a lot of damage to the Rhine. He's also discorded, so you just wreck this Rhine. Like, there is no way he can kill you before you can kill him. Here you are creating a little space, which is good, but he's just dead. And this Molten Core is unnecessary. Like, what's the point of it? They already lost the Reinhardt. Even if you kill someone with it, it still is a 1-5. And yeah, your Molten Core gets no value, so you just wasted an ultimate. The fight was already won. And this is very unfortunate, but nothing you can do about that. Careful with the tire. There we get the tire, no problem. Careful again, remember, Torb has no range. Like, no, not range. He doesn't have any range drop off, I believe. I'm double checking just to make sure. Yep. It does not actually have any range drop off. It does have a like a Hanzo, like an actual drop in verticality, right? But there is no reason for you to be playing this close with the Torb. Right, just charges forward, which, you know, make him very vulnerable and dies. You go for the Roadhog. And again, notice how with this issue of the overload, right here, actually is really bad. Like, what are you using it for? Did you hear Shatter and went, oh, I need to kill these, who's that, Moira? So I'm going to use my overload to get closer. She's going to die anyway, and now we don't have it to pressure this Roadhog, which would have been pretty good. Because you can actually die here, and when you're this close to a tank, right click is better. Believe it or not, your right click damage is, hold on, we can also check that to make exactly sure I give you the right numbers. But at close range against a tank, you will hit every pellet, which is 125 damage, compared to the 70 you normally do. And you can headshot as well. So you can be like, well, I'm just gonna do 125 damage up to 250 because it can headshot as well. So if you're close to it like a Roadhog, just aim at the neck and right click and you will do a lot more damage as well. So is it lower DPS? It's lower DPS overall, but it's higher burst damage and especially it's like, it's not lower, hold on, let me take it back. It's not lower DPS, of course it's higher DPS at 125 a shot and the same recovery rate. But here's the thing, it uses more ammo, right? Every shot uses 3 ammo, so you run out of ammo a lot faster, so you can maintain your damage for a much shorter amount of time. But when you're this close to a tank, you don't want to have a long fight, you just want to kill the tank. So you just right click and right click and right click and right click until he's dead. And then you reload. Left click is really, really good for this. If you are confident in hitting every headshot, then you can go for left click, but even then, if you're confident on hitting every headshot, just go for your right clicks and you do 250 damage to whatever tank and you just kill them in 3 shots, maybe even 2 depending on the tank. So close range, right click, long range, well, close range into tanks who will take all of your pellets, right? Rhine, Roadhog, Zarya, maybe a Doomfist as well. If you try to right click like a Tracer at close range, you will hit maybe 2 or 3 pellets out of the 10. But if you have like a big tank, just right click. And again, you should have saved your overload to go aggressive, because it lets you shoot a lot faster. So instead of shooting 3 times to kill him in 2 seconds, you can shoot 3 times to kill him in like 1 second. Which, you know, it's a much bigger burst than half of that. Spamming here is fine, don't just stand still. Never just stand still like that. Especially against a jungler who's shooting at you, right? Like, am I okay with this? Again, I don't want you to be frontlining, but at least your Rhine is here this time. So long as your Rhine holds the shield, you can damage. But as soon as your Rhine works off, you need to get out with your Rhine. And that'll be now. You can take like 1 more shot if you want, because they have nothing that can one-shot you. But you take the shot, you start backing out, and you just stand still. And why are you standing still against the Junkrat? They actually have more range damage than you do with these 2 against these 2. They have more range damage than you do. But what you've got is longer range, because Symmetra and Torsion especially, the range is unlimited basically. Instead, you just stand still in the open against the Junkrat who kills you. We get rest, which is good. You could overload here if you needed to, but you don't, so we don't. Never mind, you do anyway. The reason I said you could if you wanted to is, if they push you, you can overload to get away, right? Like I said, if they push you or anyone who's close to you, you can use overload as an escape tool or a peeling tool to try to help someone. But other than that, yeah. We use grab, so this would be a great time to, first of all, it's just right. Second, we use grab, it would be a great time to do this. Use your ultimate. You should have in fact pressed it before turning around the corner, so you save yourself the actual animation of using it. But it still should be a 1 fight, you overload, you do damage, get out now, but like, how are they going to get through that? We got 2 people as well. Full heal the turret, but they should not be able to get through the choke at this point. In fact, I don't expect them to be able to touch even. You kill the Rothog, you shoot the Rhine, and they don't get to touch, so... Overall, you did okay. You did pretty okay. The things I wanted to work on is mostly turret positioning. Because your team is doing pretty good, which means that I can't explain to you why your turret positioning is bad, and why you're wasting your overload cooldown, which are the biggest things I can think about right now. Your turret is out in the open and not watching different angles, especially rotation angles and flanks. You're doing the flanks. You are doing the flanks with the turret. You are not doing the rotation angles, and you could be putting it in cover more as well. And the overload, you've used it a couple times for what I want, like when the Rhine or the Rothog get close to you. But other than that, you've just been wasting it as move a little faster or shoot a little faster. It's a really good tool to enable you to either do a burst damage to like a team that is standing straight, that is standing still, like a Rhine shield. If you want to help break the Rhine shield, you can pop this with the idea of, well, I'm gonna help break the Rhine shield. Or you could just pop it, well, like I said, when people get close to you. When a tank gets close to you, like a monkey tries to dive you or a wrecking ball tries to dive you pop this because it gives you armor, which is 200 health against most dive heroes, or maybe 150 depending on the hero. And you already have your own armor as well. And it allows you to right click faster, which will help you burst down most of those tanky dive heroes, like Monkey and Bo and Diva. Again, this isn't a great turret. Hold on. Let me just... There we go. What is this turret going to do? Just shoot at the front line, right? This is everything it can do. Instead, throw it over. You can throw it like over here or maybe up here if you really want to. Try to get it where it can shoot something else on the front line. If you get it here, it can shoot at everyone. Instead, from where it is right now, it can only shoot at the front line. Your poor little turret cannot do anything. And you are using your cooldown to just spam damage at them rather than waiting for your team to get closer. Like, hold on. Here. I think you just used it because you thought you were going to die, so you know what? It's fine. You have a wrecking ball in front of you. Right click the wrecking ball, by the way. Not left click, right click. It does more damage on... again, tanks are very easy to hit with every pellet, so... At this point, you are just low clicking into the enemy team. You can put your turret down again. And at this point, where would I put it? I would just throw it like in here. Prevent the enemy from getting the mega. And do damage to everyone at the point. But we throw it out without the Rhine, so you get out anyway. What's this? Stop trying to do Junkrat. That's a waste of an overload just to do the Junkrat. This long range is good though. Like the Rothog is trying to long range you, but you've got the range advantage. Again, your left click has basically infinite range. You can overload here because you got 1-2 tanks around here. Instead you don't and you just get killed. Would he have been saved by the overload? Yes, actually, because armor against a shotgun is really good. So it's a fight. Could you have done more? Yeah, you could have done a lot in that fight. Especially with your overload. Like, you are using overload to just spam people. And the idea of overload is either going very aggressive. So, like, you can walk forward and right-click a tank. Or playing defensive, which is, if you get Diven, you can walk like you did here. You got Diven, you were like, I'm just gonna get more health so I don't die, and then walk away. Or go aggressive on whatever tank dove me. And going defensive also applies to your teammates. You can, like you did over here at the beginning, if your Mercy is getting pressured by Rothog, you can go defensive, go aggressive to defend the Mercy. We use trans, we use left click. I don't think this is a great molten core, mostly because they have a very safe area right here. Also, they transit. But yeah, who's getting hit by this molten core? No one. You are denying like a little bit of the point and maybe this area, but it's not like they need to. Paul can still contest point from basically anywhere, and the people who are getting burned is basically no one. There's a Sen to your right, go for the Zenyatta. To your right. There's a Zenyatta behind you, go for him. You just saw him, I saw him on your screen. You got blown back by the Jangrat, and there's a Zenyatta right there. You are better at close range than Zenyatta. All you have to do is right click. Zenyatta's head hitbox is actually huge. You even like, what did you do? I think you were trying to flank the Zenyatta and kill him, which would have been incredible, and you didn't. And then you die? Yeah, you just died to the Zenyatta. And your team wins the fight. Which is, you know. So, overall. Is that turret good? That turret's fine. It's not ideal. Again, I would try to put it a little bit closer to like a cover and watch a flank better. So, I would put it here or here, like I said at the beginning. So, it makes sure that if someone tries to get the Mega, we can kill it. Here, it's also in the open. So, it is very easy to draw its attention. Like, all the Wrecking Ball has to do is come this way, and the turret will try to shoot at him. And while the turret is facing that way, someone else can kill it as well. Or they can just ignore it because the Wrecking Ball's got its attention. But over here, it will never look behind. It will only look at the Mega, this angle, and point. Did it get value? Yeah, it still did a little damage, but again, the turret damage is only 56 per second. It's not very high. And which is good. So the couple things I want you to work on is turret positioning. Think about putting more closer to cover, and think about covering different angles with it. You don't want it to just be shooting at main most of the time. Try to set it up in a place where it will have multiple angles. So instead of putting it here, shoot it here. The only thing you can do is shoot this, and maybe this way if someone tries to come this way, but people will not usually do that. Like, even flankers will usually try to set up here and then go from here. So instead of here, try to putting it here, where it will get a flank on the enemy and contest the angle. And if someone goes to contest the turret, then we have an advantage here. Or put it like in a place where it can shoot the enemy from an angle they don't expect and get, like, on top of the track, of course. Get value by trying to shoot at the backline rather than the front line. Like, you can throw the turret and put it up here where it will get the backline more than the front line. And if someone looks away from their team to get the turret, then we have a 5v6 temporarily. So, you know, turret's really good for contesting off angles. Especially on defense, where you can just put the turret and it will always warn you. But even a little bit on offense, you can use it to go as if it were a tiny bit of a flanker who doesn't do a lot of damage. Like a tiny Hanzo, right? Or maybe actually like a tiny soldier. So the turret can just do a little bit of consistent damage this way. And if the enemy team ignores it forever, then the backline can get killed by the turret. Or we can go on the whoever's slow when the turret goes. Or if we force them to rotate, the turret can just kill someone mid-rotation. Of course, the reason it's so good on defense is that we don't have to force them to rotate. They have to rotate to get to the point. Whereas on offense, we have to rotate to get to the point. So you can try to force the enemy out by putting a turret behind and not contesting point, but drawing the people away to the turret and then pushing. Too long the red turret is really good on off angles and not that good on main. So of course, you can still get value on main. But if you put it in a place where you can also watch like as many of these rotations as possible, especially flanks, it will get a lot more value. And again, your your overload, save it for when people are committing. Either for left click or for right click. Okay. Oh my god, my viewers. Okay, I meant my both review the team is coming up. So let's take a 3-minute break. I'm gonna call this one here. And I'll be back in like 3 minutes with more team reviews, actually. Or, well, individuals within the team reviews, but I'll be back in 3 minutes.